Hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. What a night it was last night for President Trump. I think this was one of the best speeches he has ever given. He had such a wide range of emotion in such a good way. When you look at the fiery brand that he had, you look at the compassion that he had, you look at the common sense attitude that he took, you'd look at the measured tones that he took. All of it was fabulous on behalf of President Trump. But you know what the reality is? All of that, as good as President Trump's speech was, it was overshadowed by the Democrats' childish behavior, and that's the nicest way to put it. I think the way the Democrats acted last night was not only despicable, it was awful, it was ugly, it was unbecoming, it was un-American, and I will tell you, I don't think there's a mother or grandmother in America that would condone their children acting the way the Democrats did. Which is why I believe what you're witnessing firsthand is the Democrat Party imploding, literally disintegrating in front of itself, and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle themselves with President Trump. Everything he went through, and by the way, we're going to talk about this. The polling that's out now, 70+% of America thought it was a great speech. 2/3 of America say President Trump is doing a better job than Joe Biden. So forget about approval rating at 53, 54%. You have 2/3 of America saying President Trump's doing a better job than Joe Biden. That is huge. That translated into the speech that President Trump gave last night. And then you had just the awful behavior that Democrats can't stand for a cancer patient. They can't stand for two mothers who lose their children at the hands of violent criminals. Forget that they're illegal. You have mothers that lost their daughters. You can't stand for that? I mean, come on. So all of it to me is a real sign that Republicans are on a roll. The America First agenda is on a roll. President Trump is on a roll, and the Democrats are collapsing. So we're going to go through all of that today. I'll play some clips from President Trump. I'll play some just awful reaction after the speech from Democrats as we break it all down for you here on Stinchfield, the podcast. All right. My friends over at Patriot Mobile are getting it done. I love these guys because they literally are out there on the front line supporting conservatives everywhere, making sure all of you are able to hear our voices and then spread the word. It's why I believe in a parallel economy and supporting companies like Patriot Mobile. My service, in fact, Patriot Mobile is the official cell phone service provider for Stinchfield's Army. My phone has Patriot Mobile on it. I've actually got two different networks, Verizon and T-Mobile on this phone. And I've got two separate lines on this phone. One phone, two lines, two networks. It's called the Patriot One plan, and it's great. No matter what city I go to, I always have a great signal. How do you get in touch with Patriot Mobile? Go to patriotmobile.com/grant. patriotmobile.com/grant. 972-PATRIOT is the number. That's super easy. Use the promo code GRANT for either free activation or a first month service. You can ask them about the promos they've got going, but use that promo code GRANT for big savings, and I promise you, you're going to be better off for it. America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. We owe it to them to support them. I've told you a million times. Make the switch. Do it today. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. All right, President Trump. What a night for President Trump. I really have to say he did great.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions.
So, you know who didn't do great? The Democrats. And it started out with this nonsense. Congressman Green, who looks like a caveman for crying out loud, acted like a caveman, maybe even worse, with worse manners than a caveman, shaking his cane at President Trump and Speaker Johnson. I think the shaking the cane picture will be the picture that solidifies Democrats as disruptors, childish fools, and goons.
That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session.
You got to think J.D. Vance is having a blast here. I think at one point J.D. Vance gives them the "you're out of here" like an umpire. You're out of here. And they do. They kick him out.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat.
There it was. You see it? There it was. Let me roll it back real quick. J.D. Vance, you're out of here.
Take your seat, sir.
Here we go.
Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order.
Look at President Trump.
Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Look at the faces of these idiot Democrats, too, by the way. I mean, it really is about as awful as it gets. This sums up the whole night right here. Look at this photo. Rosa DeLauro. I don't know who the other one in the pink is next to her, but look at these cats. They are so angry. They are so upset. Close up of her. Then you got Debbie Wasserman Schultz. These people are just absolutely, look, I'm going to say it. When I tell you this, I mean this in many ways. The Democrats are ugly. They're ugly physically. I hate to break the news to all of them. They don't understand what fashion is about or makeup or anything like that. They're ugly. They're also ugly in a human sort of way. They're ugly as far as humanity goes. They have no respect for humanity, for human life. You had this little kid, and I'm going to play the clip about that because it was so good. There's DJ Daniel. They can't stand for him. Look, I know a lot of conservative commentators are talking about it, but I'm talking about it because it does sum up where we are as a nation, that they can't stand up for them. And, you know, President Trump talked about this. No matter what President Trump does, he could cure cancer. He could be anointed the second coming of Christ, and Democrats would still boo him. Okay? They would.
And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way.
No, it shouldn't. 5 times he's been up there. 5 times they boo him. They don't stand for him. They don't clap for anything, even common sense ideas. This is how you know the Democrats have imploded. When you say, hey, we've got 25 million people on Social Security over the age of 100. They don't exist in America. We need to stop paying these people. Boo, boo, horrible idea. Really? Horrible idea? So you just want to throw money out the window. Gold bars off the Titanic. That's literally what the Democrats are doing, as one of those EPA administrators said not long ago. And this is why they're so angry. This is why they're so ugly in so many ways. This is why they pout. This is why they have resting witch face with a B. This is why they are just in despair, because President Trump is winning. That is the face of a loser. 2 of them, by the way. Those are the faces of what it's like to lose. So every Democrat out there, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. If you support this party, if you support those leaders who acted like that, I believe you're un-American. I believe your party has left you and this country behind. It's not about a difference in politics anymore. It's about a difference in whether or not you love this country. And if you support these people who acted like animals last night, you don't love this country. And that's the bottom line because Grant Stinchfield said so. I mean it. I really do. Not to sound like Stone Cold, but they're bad, folks. They really are. So I think the moment of the night was President Trump talking about this young man, DJ Daniel. I believe this is the clip.
Legislation to secure the border, but it turned out that all we really needed.
No, this is not it. This is this is an even better clip. This is one of President Trump's best lines of the night. Okay, and then I'll get to DJ Daniel.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
I want you to consider what he just said there, and it's so true. We were told we need legislation. We were told we need more money. We were told that it wasn't going to stop unless we changed the law. It didn't need any of those things. Now, I told you it didn't need any of those things. Some of my friends told you that. You all knew that. I didn't need to tell it to you, let's be honest. But literally all it took was enforcing the laws on the books, was saying, you know what, we're not going to leave our borders open. We're not going to have Border Patrol agents taking names and numbers and releasing people into the country. What we're going to have them doing is taking names and kicking ass on the border. And when we arrest somebody, we're going to instantly deport them. We're going to have ICE agents go around the country, round up all the illegals, and start sending them home. And the message spreads pretty quickly to those south of the border. You can't come here. We're not leaving the light on for you anymore. The border is closed. And all that took was a new president to declare the border is closed. Well, some people walked out because of this, but I think the president's speech took such a great tone through the evening that in the end, when you look at what President Trump did, it's why 70% of the people loved it. I'll keep going through some of this speech, folks. Before I do, though, let me tell you about my friends over at get20now.com. I've told you the wild swings of Bitcoin, but you want to take part in this revolution that's occurring with cryptocurrency. Get20now.com is for you. Now, I have invested with this group, and I'll tell you they've lived up to every promise. NFN8 is the name of the company. They've lived up to the promises. I get a check direct deposited into my account every month, like clockwork on the same day. I get 20% of my investment, interest on my investment, 20% paid annually. Well, 20% annualized interest rate paid monthly. I want to make sure I get it right. 20% annualized interest rate up to, depending on the deal you sign, paid monthly. It is mailbox money. And I know I've shown it before, but I want to show it again. The mining facility that they have. It's a giant warehouse that looks like this, and those are the computers mining the Bitcoin. You invest in that, and the way they work the deal allows them to pay you that annualized interest of up to 20%, and then they pay it out to you monthly. It's literally cash flow. It can't be beat. Get20now.com. Go on there, sign up, let them call you, talk to them about this, see if it's right for you. A lot of my listeners and viewers are using these guys, and they all seem very, very happy with them. Get20now.com. All right, so President Trump continued. I got a lot of clips here to go through, so forgive me if it looks a little ugly on here. This is President Trump again, another great moment with DJ Daniel.
Joining us in the gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer.
What a great moment. How do you not clap and cheer for this kid? The Democrats sat through this.
But in 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
Look at that. This is where the moment gets the best. Now, folks, I want you to consider this. You have a 13-year-old boy who wants to be a police officer, who beat brain cancer. He had 5 months to live, and now he's years past that. And this kid is an inspiration to all Americans. And Sean Curran, one of the men who helped save President Trump's life, is now the director of Secret Service. He's about to give this kid an honorary Secret Service badge. The hug of all hugs. I literally welled up when I was watching this last night. And I don't well up about a lot, but I did well up here. And the Democrats sat on their freaking hands. They can't clap. They can't stand up. They can't show support for a boy who beats cancer, an inspiration, an American. Why? I think one reason is because the kid was black. Not because they're racist against black people, which I actually believe they are, but because it's against the rules. You can't have a black family supporting President Trump in the stands at a quasi State of the Union address. So they sit there like this and they don't clap, they don't cheer, they don't do anything because it breaks their political rules. The black folks are supposed to obey the Democrats. How dare they support President Trump? And how dare they support law enforcement? So instead of thinking about the victory and the fight that this kid went through and won, they lock up like disgusting human beings that they are. How do you not clap at this? Look at that. Literally, I'm going to well up again. One of the sweetest, kindest, most inspirational moments that I've seen in a long time. We're constantly being beat down. We're being beat down by all sides. And I got a 13-year-old boy who's in the halls of Congress that makes me stop and think about life, about inspiration, about the will to live, about kindness, about gratitude. That little boy did more to restore my faith in America than most people have in my lifetime. And the Democrats couldn't do it. They couldn't cheer him on. It may be the most despicable political party I've ever seen in my entire life. The fall from grace of the Democrat Party is disgusting. And again, I'm going to look all of you in the eye. And if you're a Democrat out there watching, I want you to look at me real carefully. How do you support these people? To members of my family, who I have great respect for, I'm losing respect because I don't know how you support this. I don't know how you don't support common sense initiatives. I don't know how you don't support the cutting of waste, fraud, and abuse. I don't know how you don't support putting America first. And I don't know how you don't support a 13-year-old cancer patient. And if you do support these people, you're not American either. And I'm losing all respect for you that I have. And I try to remain neutral on this. I say, okay, I'm going to try to see their side. I'm not going to let politics get in the way. But after this showing last night, politics are in the way. How do you support these people? Would somebody tell me this? They hate Trump so much it blinds them. That's all this is about. Trump derangement syndrome. It's as President Trump said, he could cure cancer. He could have the economy where everybody's making $1 million a year, and they would still hate him because he's Donald Trump and he speaks the truth. And the reality is he loves the idea of American sovereignty and individual liberty, all the things that those four goons hate. Man, oh man. It really is brutal when you think about it, right? About where we are as a country, that this is what we have to experience. So here's another moment that Democrats can't stand. Should we keep playing moments Democrats can't stand for? Or do you want to see what happened before they got to this point? This fool walked out.
All right, y'all, I don't have a lot of time. I just came off the House.
Hold on, I can't hear. I got to turn it up. Hold on.
One more second. This man who pardoned
Let me get the audio right.
6 insurrectionists.
Sorry, guys.
All right, y'all, I don't have a lot of time. I just came off the House floor. I could not stand one more second, tolerate one more second. This man who pardoned January 6 insurrectionists who desecrated the very chamber that we are sitting in this moment. This man who has no respect for Congress, does not respect us as a co-equal branch of government, who has put us into a constitutional crisis.
What is the constitutional crisis, by the way? Name me something that President Trump has done that you're so upset other than cutting nonsensical programs. Name me something. You can't. You can't name it, can you? There's no constitutional crisis. The Constitution is working just fine.
And with his hateful rhetoric and his even more harmful policies, I went because I wanted to honor my State of the Union or my joint address of Congress guest, Claire from Everett, a probationary federal worker who was damn good at her job at housing and urban development, enforcing fair housing. She was fired. She didn't deserve that. The work that she did remains unfinished. There are people that will be unhoused because that work is unfinished. There's housing that will not get built because that work is unfinished.
Are you really telling me that one worker who is an administrator of some sort, nothing's going to get done because she's not there, because the one person is not there? I don't buy it. I really don't. We were overloaded with people. Now, I am very, very sorry that people lost their job along the way. But what I'm more sorry about is that we had leaders in government that allowed them to be hired in the first place to set them up for failure. They're fired because we don't need them. And when you don't need them for the work that they're doing, then the government is engaging in charity. Now, there are times when the government engages in charity. What do you think all the foreign aid is? That's charity. Some of it goes to national security, our own national security, but a lot of it is charity. I don't think the government should be engaging in charity, and I certainly don't think we should employ people just for the sake of employing them when they don't do anything. But this woman, that's not where she is. Just pay everybody their salary and be grateful that they could sit back and take a salary and not do a damn thing. And when she says that everything's going to fall apart without her, do not believe her.
Her life has been completely upended and disrupted. And because...
You know whose life was disrupted and upended? How about the Keystone Pipeline workers? That you canceled tens of thousands of jobs when Joe Biden came in office. What about those workers? Oh, they weren't government workers, so they don't matter to you, do they? These are sick.
Claire is also a manual wheelchair user. and navigated a lot of ableist spaces to come here today. I wanted to take a seat and take up space and honor her, but there is no way that I could stay there for this address. It is insult to injury, the lies and the propaganda.
Give me a break. There's no lies and there was no propaganda. There was straight talk and there was truth. And the Democrats hate Trump for that. I think what they hate even more is that America's waking up. Again, I'm going to say it over and over again, and I'll play you the clips a little bit from CNN, their focus group. 70% of Americans thought the speech was great. They approved of it. Democrats, you're on the wrong side of history. I hate to break the news to you. I really do. All right, we're going to play more here in just a second. But before we do, my friends over at Colonial Metals Group have such an important message for you. We have $36 trillion in debt that's not going anywhere anytime soon. You see what's happening with the stock market right now. Investors are skittish about tariffs and all those things. Fine. I think it'll work out in the end. But here's what I do know. Even cutting government spending, the debt is not going anywhere. Even if President Trump was to balance the budget, the debt is not going to be put a dent in it at $36 trillion. This is why gold is a safe haven. And really, it's the only safe haven that has stood the test of time. So why don't you consider putting a portion of your retirement savings into gold and precious metals? Colonial Metals can help you do that, no cost to you. Here's what you do. Go to freegoldguide.com/grant. They will email you a gold guide that'll show you the process, and it's so simple. freegoldguide.com/grant. Now, I've got a lot of gold companies hitting me up to come on this podcast, and I chose Colonial Metals because I like them, I trust them, I've gotten to know them. Colonial Metals Group is getting it done for so many of our Rumble viewers and Stinchfield's Army members. freegoldguide.com/grant, 800-458-7356. I'm telling you, folks, you need to take the steps necessary to protect a portion of your savings. I call it a portfolio protection maneuver for a reason. freegoldguide.com/grant, 800-458-7356, or hit the QR code up in the corner of your screen. We're grateful to Colonial Metals for their support of this program and others here on Rumble. All right. So President Trump continued. This is another great moment of the evening.
My administration is also working to protect our children from toxic ideologies in our schools. A few years ago, January, Littlejohn and her husband discovered that their daughter's school had secretly socially transitioned their 13-year-old little girl. Teachers and administrators conspired to deceive January and her husband while encouraging her daughter to use a new name and pronouns. They, them pronoun, actually, all without telling January, who is here tonight and is now a courageous advocate against this form of child abuse. January.
Now, think about that mom, and I want you to take a look at her when we go back to the rest of this. She's got a kid in school. Unbeknownst to her, her kid is saying, you know what, I'm not who I think I am. I want to change my sex. I'm going to change my pronouns. I want to change my name. She doesn't know anything about it, and the school is pushing the kid into doing that. Now, this mom looks like a normal, everyday mom. Schools need to be in touch with parents. Now, I get that the Democrats love transgenderism. They love the idea of blurring the lines of sexes. So this has become a political issue. All right? They don't want any pushback against that. But again, here's another example. They can't stand for this mom who is going through an issue with their child. And any parent out there knows that you just want to help your kid. You just want to make sure that they have happiness in life and that they're not depressed or sad about something. And she's not getting any help from the school. Well, again, the Democrats sit on their hands for this one.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Stories like this are why, shortly after taking office, I signed an executive order banning public schools from indoctrinating our children with transgender ideology.
This again, folks, is 100% common sense. America doesn't want transgenderism pushed on our children. They certainly don't want our schools engaging in that. If you're a math teacher, teach math. If you're a history teacher, teach history. Real history, by the way. If you're an English teacher, teach my kid how to read and write. But I don't want you teaching my son how to be a girl. And I don't want you teaching my daughter how to be a son. All right? These are the realities of where America is. And yet the left is so far out of touch on this.
In order to cut off all taxpayer funding to any institution that engages in the sexual mutilation of our youth.
Children do not have the ability to make a decision for themselves. And I always go back to the example that I use. When my son is growing up, he's going to be 16 in a couple months. When my son is growing up, I made him play baseball. I made him play football. I made him play basketball. I made him go to the zoo with me when he didn't want to go. Most kids want to go to the zoo. He didn't want to go to the zoo. I made him, and then he loved it. But that's the point. I made my kid do these things so he could experience. If I left it up to him, he'd want to sit home and play video games or sit around on the couch watching TV. So you make your kid do certain things, but they can't decide for themselves whether it's right to chop their nuts off. Are you kidding me? And is there really people that believe that children at 10, 11, 12 years old are old enough to make a life-altering decision? You're going to mutilate your body in the name of you think you're a girl? Let me tell you something. When I was 10, 11, or 12, I thought I was an army man, okay? I wasn't, but I thought I was. And I would go out to the backyard, and I would pretend I was. Now, can you imagine if you think you're a girl and you chop your nuts off at 10, 11, 12? Guess what? I didn't end up joining the military. It's one of my great regrets, actually. I don't think I was ready for it back then. I'm more ready for it now than I am then, except my body wouldn't be able to take it. But it is one of my great regrets, and I get criticized for saying that. Leftists will say, oh, well, what a cop-out. You should have done it. I admit it. I should have done it. It is, in many respects, a cop-out. I'm upset I didn't serve in the military or become a law enforcement officer, at least for a little bit. Now, I love making money, don't get me wrong, and you're not going to make a lot of money in those things. But you could have done it for a little bit, and it gives you great life experience to go use down the road, to go do something great. And, in the end, my point to this is, at 12 years old, you're not old enough to make a decision.
And now I want Congress to pass a bill permanently banning and criminalizing sex changes on children and forever ending the lie that any child is trapped in the wrong body. This is a big lie.
It is a
and
lie.
Our message to every child in America is that you are perfect exactly the way God made you.
Oh, think about it. What a horrible message that is. Hey, little Johnny. Hey, little Susie. You're perfect. This the way God made you. In the image of God, you are perfect. Oh, what a horrible message. I mean, what a great message. This is not the doom and gloom of Joe Biden. Remember, Joe Biden, America's awful. He was apologizing for us. We're in decline. The evil empire of the Republicans. This was such a hopeful speech. This was such a great speech about where we're headed as a nation and where we want to go. And America is back, as President Trump said. Thank you, Mr. President.
Because we're getting wokeness out of our schools and out of our military, and it's already out, and it's out of our society. We don't want it.
No.
Wokeness is trouble. Wokeness is bad. It's gone. It's gone.
Wokeness. Everything woke turns to shit. That's what President Trump said. He didn't say it last night, but he has said it before. Well, clearly this makes everybody angry, including Rachel Maddow. She was on MSNBC. I want you to just see how evil and gross these people are, okay? And when I say these people are ugly, I don't mean just physically, and they are physically, but they are ugly from a mental capacity. They are ugly from a compassion capacity, which they have none. They are just ugly human beings.
For the record, and this is disgusting, the president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who thus far survived pediatric cancer, as if the president had something to do with that. This was in the midst of him praising Doge. The Doge cuts, among other things, have cut off funding for ongoing research into pediatric cancer.
Wrong, not true, talking points. And how in the world do you think he made a spectacle out of what everybody is saying was the moment of the night? That's not a spectacle. That's an inspiration. F. Miller 2558 in the Rumble channel literally writes, that hug by Little DJ was the best moment of the night. It may have been the best moment in months for me, quite frankly. I don't remember the last time I looked at the TV and actually welled up. I really don't. And then do it again on a podcast the next day. I don't remember that. You want to see how really, really bad it gets, though? This is Nicole Wallace on MSNBC. I want you to listen to how she ends this. This may be the most disgusting comment of any comment I heard all night and in a long time.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters.
All right, you ready for this? She says nice things about him, and then she says, but I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters, okay? And listen to where she goes, because where she goes here, she ought to be taken off air for this comment.
If he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
She hopes little DJ Daniel doesn't commit suicide because he's attacked by Trump supporters. The Trump supporters in the room are the only ones cheering for him. All your idiot cohorts are sitting on their hands. The Trump supporters in the halls of Congress were cheering, screaming in support of DJ Daniel, and you're worried he's going to commit suicide? Because Trump supporters are going to be so evil coming after him as a police officer? What party do you think hates cops? What party is waging war on law enforcement officers even today? You had a Border Patrol agent who literally saved the life of his partner, comes under fire from cartel members. And I get that you Democrats want an open border. Fine, that's politics. I don't, you do. But you can't cheer a Border Patrol agent who literally saves the life of another American who's defending this nation from evil? You sit on your hands for that Border Patrol agent too? You people are sick. This is a video released by the White House of DJ Daniel.
But you want to know the craziest part? Because my mom bathes me and my brothers all together. And out of nowhere, I locked up. And then my dad was calling my name. And I started going to the slow thing. And he said, stop playing with me. And then I started to act, I ain't gonna lie, I started to act slow. And then as soon as he said that, we was speeding all the way, running lights, going to the hospital. And then next thing you know, I was seizing on the table. They said, nah, we gonna have to go in his brain tonight. Ever since then, I had 13 brain surgeries. And that's how many times my personality has changed. And that's something that you don't hear from a terminally ill child. They had 5 months to live. I'm gonna keep on going until my gas tanks run out. And that's when God calls you home. You never know when God's gonna call you home. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad. I know he's pretty proud of me, and I'm pretty proud of him too. And I'd like to thank President Trump, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
What an unbelievable young man. And you've got Rachel Maddow and Nicole Wallace besmirching his good name, his fight, his will to live. And just because he's a supporter of President Trump, you're going to attack a cancer patient. It's pretty freaking gross, man. It really is. Again, if you're a Democrat today, if you have friends that are Democrats today, I don't even say show them grace. I think you literally need to ask them, how are you a Democrat today? You know, I don't call my parents, they're liberals. I told you I love them. I really do. But I'm tempted to call them up and say, after that last night, you still part of the Democrat Party? Oh, and they will be. They will be. But I want to ask how. It goes against everything you taught me. Mom and Dad, listen to me. You taught me to be a good human being. I understand we may disagree on politics, but you taught me the difference between right and wrong. You taught me to pull myself up by my bootstraps. You taught me that nobody's responsible for my actions except myself. That's a conservative mantra. Individual responsibility. My liberal parents taught me this. You taught me to act respectful towards people. You told me to be kind and compassionate to people. How is what we witnessed last night fit into any of those things that you taught me, Mom and Dad? I'm 56 years old. My father's just over, I think he's 80. My mom's pushing 80. I don't know if they changed now. I really don't. But none of what I see from the Democrat Party is what they taught me as a child. Nothing. I don't know if they realize it. But everything they taught me raised me to be a conservative, an America-loving, America-first conservative. Everything my liberal parents taught me to be who I am today. And it's why I look and see, how do you support people that are everything against what you taught me to be like? It's sad. That's what's sad. That's why when I said after what I witnessed last night, it made me sad, not angry. It made me really feel bad for Democrats that are supporting a party that doesn't love this country. Robin Weddington in the Facebook chat writes, they are evil, vile, disgusting people and don't know how they sleep at night. I, for one, never vote Democrat again. Thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. Gidget Johnson. What did President Trump says? They're making widgets or gidgets or whatever else they're making. But Gidget, I love your name. They are no longer people. They are demons that need exorcism. It is a spiritual problem they have when they cannot applaud Americans or America. I am so appalled at their behavior. They are totally disgusting. They are evil. Gidget, you capture the feeling, I think, of most Americans. Greg Carlson in the Facebook chat writes, I'm so sick of the Dems go after the pardons that Trump did, but the Dems forget who Sleepy Joe pardoned. I agree. That's all in the Facebook channel. Mammy 1984 in Rumble channel. Bless this young man's heart, talking about Daniel DJ. Ratchet writes about Democrats. They're lower than a snake's belly. And you don't get any lower than that, brother. You really don't. It's sickening and sad, to say the least. Let's play this from President Trump.
With no end in sight, the United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense. With no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes. $2,000 people are being killed every single week. More than that.
Talking about the Ukraine war, I don't think anybody wants to see it continue. We want the killing to stop. You know, as I've said over and over again on this program, I'm getting tired of saying it. I'll just bang my head on the microphone. Two corrupt countries, Russia and Ukraine. By no means am I a big lover of Vladimir Putin. By no means am I a big lover of Volodymyr Zelensky. I'm tired of this war. I'm tired of our money going to fund it. Just stop. but Zelensky won't agree to a ceasefire. How do you pause a war if you won't agree to a ceasefire? That's the first step in any negotiations. Let's get a ceasefire. Let's get to the table and talk. Zelensky won't agree to that. Zelensky says half the money's missing. Well, we know it's going to oligarchs in Ukraine. We know that they're selling off military equipment to make millions of dollars. United States military equipment they're selling off to make millions. They're not using it to fight the Russians. They want this war to go on and on and on. And I am a firm believer the only reason the Democrats in Congress and around this country want this war to continue is because most Republicans say end it. So just because we say end it, they're going to say continue it because they'll say the opposite of whatever is right. Because typically whatever we say is right. So you know that Al Green character? I mean, let me just remind you if you're tuning in late to the broadcast. This was Al Green.
Take your seat, sir. Take your seat.
All right, you don't want to take a seat.
Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the sergeant-at-arms to restore order.
J.D. Vance is loving every moment. So they're kicking the caveman out. Caveman must go. Caveman must leave cave. So he leaves the cave, and what does he do? He proceeds to make his way out to address the media and lie. And so what I want to do is address his stupid lies, okay? We have it. Where's the audio? Hold on, let me see if I can get this. Can you guys hear it or no?
Person who has consistently been no mandate to cut Medicaid.
Here we go. Sorry about this, folks.
What were you shouting to the president?
The president said he had a mandate. And I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people, and they have only Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care. And I want him to know that his budget calls for deep cuts in Medicaid.
No, it doesn't. You're a liar, and this is what Democrats do. The only way they think they can win is by lying to the American public. President Trump has said over and over again, we are not cutting benefits to Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. Not cutting benefits. How many times do I need to tell you this? How many times does the president need to tell you this? Yet he's going to get there in front of the cameras, and the mainstream media will run with this. They'll scare seniors everywhere into thinking President Trump's cutting Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. He's not. What he is going to cut is $1 trillion out of these entitlements that are wasteful. You'll be able to make this whole program solvent again by not paying people who don't deserve it, okay? Now, if you think cutting benefits to somebody who's dead is cutting benefits, well, then I guess we'll have to disagree. But if you stop paying dead people Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security benefits, if you start having some checks and balances, don't be sending checks to overseas illegal aliens, we can save $1 trillion. We're not telling Mary, the 86-year-old, that we're not going to pay her hospital bill. What we're saying is we're not going to pay wasteful spending anymore. And that's the bottom line. This guy knows it. He's such a freaking disgrace. He really, really is. Again, disgusting seems to be the word of the day, isn't it? Hey, my friends over at Energized Health, I want you to pay them a visit. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. I've lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks on Energized Health. I've been on the program now for many, many months. The whole program is about an 88-day process. Change a few things around. I really didn't find it hard. I didn't kill myself exercise-wise. The diet wasn't crazy. This is the first program I've ever experienced that made sense, was easy to follow, and was something that I could do for the rest of my life, which is why I've kept the pounds off. I believe my skin cleared up. I don't know. What do you guys think? My skin looking good? Could be the great moisturizer. I also think part of it is energized health and getting hydrated from a cellular level. So I want you to go to energizedhealth.com, learn about intercellular hydration. If you got to lose 200 pounds or you just want to be like me, lose 15 and tighten it all up, Energized Health is for you. There's daily videos. There's weekly Zoom calls. There's personal coaching. There's recipes. There's guidebooks. There's electronic apparatus that you can measure a lot of your hydration, your weight, your body fat, all of this to show that you won't you lose fat, but not muscle. And that's the key. All these diet medications and these drugs, you lose muscle with it. You don't want to lose muscle. I don't care how old you are. You don't want to lose muscle. You want to lose fat. And that's what Energized Health did for me. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. Pay them a visit. Tell them I sent you. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. All right. What else did President Trump talk about? He talked about common sense, like cutting waste, fraud, and abuse.
$40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million.
Who is for this stuff? Democrats, because it's a slush fund. Because much of that money is what's going back and making these people wildly wealthy. Elon Musk alluded to this on with Joe Rogan. He says, they may kill me. I think I played the soundbite yesterday. They may kill me. They may assassinate me, but I'm on to how they're getting wealthy, and it's not insider trading, he said. I promise you it's through programs like this.
Just listen to some of the appalling waste we have already identified. $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million. $8 million for making mice transgender. This is real. $32 million for a left-wing propaganda operation in Moldova. $10 million for male circumcision in Mozambique. $20 million for the Arab Sesame Street in the Middle East. It's a program. $20 million for a program. $1.9 billion to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, headed up, and we know she's involved. Just at the last moment, the money was passed over by a woman named Stacey Abrams. Have you ever heard of her?
Of course we have. So now I got, yes, I checked the chat, and thank you for the sound. I do this all the time. I hit the mute while I cough, and then I forget to unmute myself, which is brutal. So here's what I was saying. I work hard. I do a 3-hour podcast, a 3-hour radio show. I do an hour podcast. I do an hour TV show. At any given time in between that time, I'm working on either buying or selling businesses or running the businesses under my command at the time. Now, I love everything I do. I don't particularly think it's hard work. I enjoy being here, and I enjoy fighting for a country, and I enjoy making money with businesses and as a conservative voice. But I've got to work 4 out of 10 days to pay the government before I start making any money. So on the start of a new 2-week work cycle, I have to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I don't make money till Friday. Is that fair? Now, many Democrats will say, oh, Stinchfield, many of you don't pay enough. You got to pay more. But when I hear about transgender mice, circumcised men in Mozambique, maybe we could get to a point where I only have to work Monday and Tuesday to pay the government, and then from there on out, I can keep my money. Wouldn't that be nice? Maybe even Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and not making a dime until Friday on a 2-week work schedule is not fair. It isn't right. And you're crushing the American worker. Now, pare this down for everybody. I'm blessed that I make a decent living. I'm blessed that I have different ways to make money. Many people, many of you, go to work every day. Maybe you're at work right now. Maybe you're sitting in a cubicle right now. And God bless you if you are, because you are the people that make the world go round. 2 days working before you get to keep your money is too much. You make $60,000, $70,000 a year and you got to work the first 2 days of your 2 weeks and pay the government. It isn't right. I'm telling you, it isn't right. So I'm glad I got the sound back, and I appreciate you all for pointing that out. Something has got to give. Something has got to change. And when President Trump goes down this list, I say to myself, we are all being bled dry.
A $3.5 million consulting contract for lavish fish monitoring. $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $59 million for illegal alien hotel rooms in New York City. He's a real estate developer. He's done very well. $250,000 to increase vegan local climate action innovation in Zambia. $42 million for social and behavior change in Uganda. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well with learning. You know what we're doing.
I mean, it's a beatdown. I mean, it's funny. I mean, we're sending money to Asia to help them with their learning. They're kicking our ass when it comes to education. They should be sending us money. Help us out a little bit. Our educational system in America sucks. But it ain't for a lack of spending money, folks. We need to get back to the business of family values, family unit. Look, I'm divorced, but I don't consider myself really a single dad. My son's mom is 100% involved in his life. We talk, we work about making sure he's on the right track. We hold my son accountable. We co-parent. It's not like he's from a broken household. Is it ideal? No. Would I much rather my son live in a household with two people that love each other and grow up with siblings and just live like Leave It to Beaver. Is that what the name of the show was? I don't even know. Even I'm too young to remember Leave It to Beaver. But of course I would. But his mom is involved and I'm involved and we split custody 50-50. But you got to get back to this instead of just a dad that's absent, a mom that's absent, a mom and dad that are absent, grandmothers raising the kid because there's no mom and dad, which I love the grandmothers for doing that. Don't get me wrong. But throwing money at education is not the answer. It's accountability inside the home and putting a value on greatness. We don't have it anymore. A lot of American families are mailing it in, and it's sad. I'll play one more clip of Stephen A. Smith because he handed it to the ladies of The View, the cackling hens. Stephen A. Smith is no fan of President Trump, okay? I want to make this very clear. He is not a conservative. If there is such thing as a common sense Democrat, he's the closest thing they have, but he's wrong on a lot. But he does see the field. Maybe that's because he's a sports broadcaster. I'm going to play that for you in a second. But before I do, let me remind you about my friends at the wellness company, twc.health/grant. This is where I want you to go. Get one of these kits. Prescription medications in here. You have the situation where you have drugstores that'll close down during natural disasters, cyber attacks. We've seen it. If you need to get your hands on life-saving drugs, do you have them in your house? My guess is no, unless you've already been to the wellness company, twc.health/grant. This is about preparedness. This is about being ready. This is about making sure your family is safe and prepared. I have ammunition. I've got food and water. I've got power supply. I also have prescription medications. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. Here's why I want you to do it. Because I don't want you to find yourself in a situation where you said, oh, my God, if I just had that amoxicillin. Oh, my God, if I just had ivermectin to start the COVID protocol and knock it out rather than wait for a doctor, I'd start earlier and get. You got it with one of these kits. This is going to help you and your family. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. All right, Stephen A. Smith, are you ready? This was greatness.
Only been in office for 6 weeks. Seems like 6 years, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And he's been going around with his cronies touting his so-called landslide and blowout win. But he won the popular vote by 1.5%, one of the smallest ever, and he won the general election by less than 50%. So what kind of mandate is this really?
Well, it is a mandate, and I'm going to explain why. And I don't mind the question, but let me be very clear. I'm no supporter of Trump. I'm a supporter of truth and the facts. And here's the facts. The man won every swing state. He increased in terms of his voter turnout in his favor from the standpoint of blacks, Latinos, and young voters. He increased his numbers in that regard from 2020. 89% of the counties shifted to the right. That's a mandate. We can sit up there and play around all we want to. In 2020, Trump didn't win the popular vote. He didn't win the electoral college vote. A matter of fact, the Republicans hadn't won the popular vote, if I remember correctly, since 2004. Yeah. But they did this year. So 20 years after they last won a popular vote, they won the popular vote. They won the electoral college vote. The man won every swing state. And on top of it all, 89% of the counties shifted against. I don't understand how people can look at that and say, there's no mandate. There's a mandate.
What's a different definition of a mandate, I guess?
But the problem is that if you're the Democratic Party and you lost 49.8% to 48.3%, and you're looking at that 1.5% dip, that's an excuse for you to say, what we did really wasn't that bad.
Some people didn't
we should continue to do that.
No,
don't continue to do it. Find a new strategy.
Look at No Joy Behar. I mean, she can't believe he's saying this. These ladies are just beside themselves. They've got a black man on The View who's saying that President Trump does have a mandate. The American people love the guy. Look at his numbers. It's legit. I just like people that are honest. You can disagree with me in politics all day long. I don't care. It's America. Have at it. Let's disagree. Let's have a conversation. But let's also be honest, right? Let's also be honest about where we are as a country and where we're headed. We need to be. Here's where I want you to head. My website, GrantStinchfield.com. You can sign up for the email list there. Real America's Voice show tonight. We're going to go through a lot of this tonight. Lauren Boebert is on the program tonight, so she's going to weigh in on this. She has an idea, by the way, for the CBP One app. Remember this end run around the immigration system? She's going to reverse the CBP One app. She wants to use it to deport people. This is a brilliant idea. So we're going to talk to her about that tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We got a big show for you, as always, on Real America's Voice. So please tune in to that. Again, GrantStinchfield.com, GrantStinchfield.com. Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thanks to all of you. I would love it if you would copy the link to this and share it on all your social media platforms. Feel free to share videos, tag me, reach out to me on social media, whatever you need to do. I am here for you. We just want the word spread as best we can spread it. God bless every one of you. As I mentioned, Stinchfield's Army rolls because of all of you. We'll see you tonight on the Real America's Voice show and right back here tomorrow, same time. Thanks, folks.